Salute everyone. Welcome to the Knicks Buzz, Knicks Real Talk, the streets of Buzz and Divine and CT. I'm about to bring y'all some Knick content, man, to go over the post game and all that good stuff, man. So we're gonna get into all that good stuff, man. Talk about the game last night and what happened at the Garden and moving forward, man. Salute to my man CT. How you doing, my brother?
How you doing? Well, salute to everyone. Merry Christmas, happy holidays out there to you, Divine, your family, and everyone out there. Hope everything's well, and look forward to chopping up this Knicks talk. There's lots to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We had a game at the World Most Freeman Arena last night. Knicks and the Washington Wizards signing game, but we came up short a little bit. Now we just want to, do the recap on that. First and foremost, Kemba Walker, electrifying game last night, 44 points, lit up the Garden, but it wasn't enough. Defense couldn't come up to the forefront, gave up 128 points, was kind of disappointing, 124 points, excuse me, a little bit disappointing on the defensive end. And, but Kemba Walker was the Kemba Walker show yesterday. The man was electric. Cardiac Kemba gave us a flashback, CT. He was out there and dropping it from all over the place, man. He really looked good out there. But unfortunately, on the other side of the ball, the Knicks defense couldn't prevail. They got busy out there, man. They were, and minus Bradley, Bill, minus a lot of their guys. They had all around good effort from a lot of their guys, man. And so, it was pretty tough on them. Corey Trisberg, the rookie, came in there. He was lighting it up. Spencer did what he was doing, what he had to do. He was lighting it up. And Daniel Dafford was a force on that other side of the ball. So overall, they came and played harder, man, and our defense just didn't come to the forefront last night.
Yeah, right. It was real disappointing. They didn't pull out the dub for Kemba. Obviously, it's great, first and foremost, to see Kemba Walker has that kind of offensive game left in him, that burst. He was doing, whatever he wanted out there on the court. It was lovely to see. I was hoping him to hit that 50 piece. It just didn't happen for us, on the defensive end. Again, the combination of Evan Fournier together with Kemba Walker, big question marks over that, defensively, whether that can hold up. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough last night. The Wizards were doing whatever they liked, 125 points. Again, we got to continue to get better on the defensive end, Divine. And I think that means probably a different rotation. For me personally, we've seen enough of the Evan Kemba combination to know that it's tough defensively. It's a turnstile. And Spencer Dinwiddie was doing what he wanted, getting to wherever he wanted, as well as what Kemba was doing. So I think there's got to be some adjustments. We're getting some help back, and I want to see some adjustments made, in that starting unit.
Yeah, absolutely, CT. I second that, man. Last night, the Evan Fournier experiment was disappointing from all angles. He was just getting beat all over the place. And one thing I was more disappointed about, and I understand loyalty, but it becomes a time when loyalty she can't cut it. And I really think that he had a lot to do with us losing that game last night because his defense was pathetic. And I don't like to bash how Nick played. I'm not trying to throw shade at Nick play because that's not what we do. But we also got to deal with the realness. Evan Fournier was disappointing last night, man. He was getting burnt all over the place. Offense wasn't there. His defense was suspect. And I'm like, I know we were short players, so I understand it. But that the Knicks organization and Tom Thibodeau got to come to a realization with Evan Fournier. 32 games in, you're up and down. You haven't been consistent all year. That's got to be the elephant in the room for us. But like you said, him and Kemba Walker. Because our defense, we won't go nowhere with that defense like that, man. We just won't. That's not our identity. That's not how we play basketball in New York. And we don't get that defense rectified with that starting lineup. It's going to be something, man. And it really is. So I do think that we really got to address that. And hopefully when RJ Barrett get back into the starting lineup, that's going to change. But I think they got to really talk about that, CT, and see what they're going to do with the Evan Fournier team, man, because I don't think we can go through the rest of the season with him at that starting lineup like that, man, because our defense just going to suffer.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it. Like I've been saying for a while now, I think off the bench, Evan Fournier would be a nice fit. But of course, the elephant in the room is the $19 million deal that Leon Rose gave out. And how do you bench that player, that signing so early, and admit that you made the mistake? And then there's also you eliminate his any trade value. You make it more difficult to trade him if you relegate him to the bench. So we we are stuck in a real mess right now with Julius Randle not performing up to his standard. We'll get onto that shortly. But the Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier tandem, it just seems like Divine, one dude plays really well on certain nights and the others can't play well off that player. It just, there'll be a night where Evan Fournier has 30, Kemba doesn't do what he did, or Kemba did what he did last night, and Evan Fournier can't do anything. And this league, in this day and age, you need to be able to defend the perimeter, right? Other teams are licking their chops when they see a Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier out there. Like you said, we gave up 125 points to the Washington Wizards without Bradley Beal. I didn't see no type of superstar on their team last night. How are we giving up 125? Is beyond me. So I like to see Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett into that starting unit. And I think that'll work well alongside Kemba.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's another thing that's interesting to me. It's a thing other than the Boston Celtic game, because that was a revenge game for them too. That's about the only time we really seen them two really have a good game together that I can recall, because that was a revenge game. They both played with Boston last year. They had something to prove. But to me, the Knicks defense is really what's important in this whole thing. And having them guys in that lineup, it just don't click. I love Kemba Walker had 44 points last night, but we lost. He had 37 in Boston, or Fournier had 37 in Boston. We lost. And it just come to a point where we got to fix this thing real quick, because if not, it's going to get out of hand. And next thing you know, we missed the buy-in, and we missed the playoffs if this thing continues. I don't think the Knicks can prosper without that defense being the most important thing about this team. Offense is offense. That comes and goes, but your defense got to always be there. And I just think right now with Julius Randle, like you said, playing the way he playing, I was a little disappointed in him last night to a degree, because I just thought that he wasn't giving the effort that I think he can give. I think Julius Randle should be doing way more than that. And it ain't his fault that he got pieced around, but you got Kemba Walker dropping 44, and it was on you to help carry this team. So I just think that it's something that we got to deal with in New York. We got to figure this thing out. But let's see, man, when RJ Barrett come back, when quickly come back, and see how this thing roll, man. But it's not looking the way we want to look right now, CT, and let's hope that we can get this thing together before the ship sink, man. I really just don't want that to happen, man. I really don't. So let's hope that we can rectify the ship and get it popping.
Yeah, real talk. Yeah, we'll touch on some trade talk, and we'll touch on looking ahead the schedule. But like what you said about Julius Randle, 27 years of age now, got paid the bag to be the leader of this team. And I'm just not seeing a player, ability aside, I'm not seeing a player step up mentally to be that leader yet at all. It's really disappointing. IQ-wise, he's never been the best IQ player. He's not learning. I don't know what they're doing in film sessions or whatever it is, but he's just holding the ball way too long at certain times. Now, we need Julius Randle to be the best version of himself for this team to continue to get better. I'm not on the trade Randle. I'm not on that train yet. I'm not on that train to try to get him out of here. We need him right. We need him back to where he was. Yes, will he may never shoot 40% from three. I'm okay with that. We may never see that again. That was empty arenas. That was whatever. But can he get back to shooting at least a decent clip? Hopefully. Get those assists up. Start trusting the teammates a lot more. Moving the ball quickly as soon as the double comes, moving it, not dribbling, not over dribbling. And of course, RJ Barrett's a big piece of this thing. When he comes back, we need to feature him a lot more.
Yep, absolutely. I second that, man. The thing for me with Julius Randle is, like, I always go back to the leadership part. But you're right though, man. The unnecessary turnovers, the dribbling the ball too long, trying to force things. You're trying to force too many things. Just play within the structure of the game, play within the rhythm of the game. When, like I said, you got Kemba Walker lighted up last night, so your job is to make sure you lead the ship. It was Kemba Walker's night. It was his night. But as a leader of the team, being that most important guy after Tibbs on that team, because you on the floor with the men, and that's his responsibility to make sure all the men he is Tom Thibodeau on that floor. Normally it's a point guard. But being that he's the leader of the team, he's the one that got paid the bag, and he's the one that the franchise look at to help carry this team. I think you got to live up to them standards. They gave you an extension to be the guy in New York City, to be the guy down there in New York. And I think he has to find a way mentally to get this thing going, man, because it's not, man, like I said, it's going to be different pretty soon. We're getting close to the halfway point of the season. We need to try to win every game we can win, man, to keep staying contention. And I think we need Julius Randle to lead the way from a team leader standpoint. It's not about the stats. I don't care about the stats. When your team going through adversity, you got to be that guy to pull us up out of there. Unless you're just not built that way. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, it's not. We hopefully that could change. And when we get these guys back, we get RJ Barrett back, we get Manuel quickly back. Let's see how this thing goes. But for right now, we need these guys to be who they are. You know what I mean? Because these guys are getting paid, get money. Fournier and Julius Randle, the highest paid dudes on that team.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you guys got to perform like you're the highest paid guys on that team. You know what I mean? You the guys on that team got the longest contracts, the biggest contracts. You veterans, y'all been in the league long enough. You know what it is about. You should be able to conduct this ship the right way to help Tom Thibodeau and the rest of the coaching staff be leaders on that floor. And let's hope that can happen sooner or later.
Yeah, and let me ask you, where do you sit with the Tibbs situation in terms of the heat he's getting? There's talk that obviously, Tibbs wasn't all for the players that got brought in, but at the same time, he's not having the best of years either. I think, like I said, he's riding or dying with Julius Randle, which is fair enough. He trusts him the most, but where's then that coaching up for Julius? Where's that accountability of him holding the ball so long and things like that? Or do you think he's just having a hard time getting through to Julius, and Julius is just tuning that out now?
Yeah, man. You know what? I just think Tibbs in a tough situation because I think he likes Julius. He like his work ethic. He like everything about Julius. I really do. But I do believe that Julius is putting Thibodeau in a hard spot too, and Fournier. All he got to put Thibodeau in a hard spot because they not who he wanted. You know what I mean? And the reason why I bring that up is because listen, Tibbs won Coach of the Year twice. You know what I mean? Twice in the NBA. He's a proven guy in the NBA. He done Coach of the Year down there in Chicago. He done led franchises. He might not never won a championship, but he's a proven coach. You know what I mean? He's proven. And I think that right now it's so tough with the situation because let's hypothetically say if he got to bring the guys that he wanted, it might be different for Tibbs. But I think he's going down with the ship, and then it's almost like a damn if you do, a damn if you don't. If you don't play these guys, then you got the problem with the front office. If you do play these guys, which is the rookies and everything, then they're gonna complain about that. So it's tough. It's really tough to be the shoot, but he is the leader of the team. He's the coach, and everything falls on him. Everything falls on Tom Thibodeau, right or wrong, whatever, left or right, it falls on him. So I think he got to play his part as well. I mean, he's not exempt from this stuff. He need to find a way to get this team rolling. But I do think that if I want to give you a percentage, I'm going to say 30% is what Tom Thibodeau need to do better. 70% is the team. I mean, Tom Thibodeau can't shoot the ball and play defense for Evan Fournier. He can't play defense for Kemba Walker. You know what I mean? He can't do that. He's not on the floor. And these guys got to hold themselves accountable, and help Tibbs out as well. But Tibbs is the leader. He take all the heat, and rightfully so. If the team ain't playing well, it falls on him. Because he's the one leading the ship, CT. So I do think that he gets some of the blame. I definitely don't think he get more to blame. Because like I said, he can't guard Evan Fournier, man. He can't stop Julius Randle from having 4 turnovers a game. That ain't got nothing to do with Tom Thibodeau to me. Them the players not executing the game plan that he put out there. Them cats is playing terrible ball. Evan Fournier been stinking it up for a minute. Nerlens Noel been stinking it up for a minute. I mean, and it's just tough when you got guys who not performing on a regular basis, and that he's got to be the one to take the heat, and that's what he's there for.
Yep. Yeah, I can agree definitely with this 30-70. I guess the argument people are making for the issues with Tibbs is that in terms of minutes, he can make him accountable. Where do you bring Julius back in when he's having an awful couple of stretches? Do you send a message that way? But then do you also lose one of the players that you're that has the biggest trust in you, that protects you in the locker room. Because we all know the back and forth now with the divided locker room. The Kemba Walker thing didn't help. You got players siding with Kemba. You got Donovan Mitchell. You got players all around the league now tweeting stuff about Kemba, saying we did him, in some type of way now that he's had this outburst. So I just think the Heat's getting on Tibbs a lot more. And the first half of the year for me, Divine, is evaluation. I'm going to evaluate the front office players and Tibbs more after the trade deadline. After the trade deadline, they have a chance to correct some of the mistakes they made. All right, if Tibbs says we don't have some of the players I need, okay, try to get some on the same page, front office, try to get some players that Tibbs wants during the trade deadline. Then he got no excuses,
Mm-hmm.
Brought in Daniel House, brought in Damian Dotson, some defense first guys. Let's see how he can fix this thing,
Yeah. And I agree. It's a tough situation for him as well. Because you know what, and then, you look at Damian Dotson. I love Damian Dotson. I love Daniel House, but they're not going to change the game for New York. Damian Dotson was in the G League. You know what I mean? Daniel House wasn't playing. You know what I mean? So they great acquisitions because I think we searching for something in New York. But I don't think them cats move the needle for me whatsoever. You know what I mean? Because I think they can be an asset to the team. I think they'd be better than having them and Wayne Sheldon and guys like that. But I think to me what they need to do in New York is get these young guys a little bit more burn and let them McBride in the grind. Like I said, for me, CT, I really believe that Deuce McBride need to be the starting point guard for the New York Knicks.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And him and RJ can make a huge difference. And then I think let's hope that when we get fully back, then I'm going to give Tibbs a certain amount of time. Okay, Tibbs, you got all your players back. Let's see what you do in the next 5 to 10 games. If this thing don't get turned around when you got all your players back, then we're going to have to start really looking at this thing. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna try to stay optimistic about it and give him his fair shake. And like you said about the Julius Randle thing, I didn't even want him to bring Julius Randle back in at a certain point last night because when Obi Toppin was out there, the team was playing good. They were flowing, the ball was flowing. They actually took the lead. The energy was there. And then minute Julius Randle came back in last night, they got stagnant. They started giving up the lead. So I'm not trying to say it's about Julius Randle, but when him and Fournier come in there, the offense is different because it's like it becomes a stagnant offense. Even though they're moving the ball around to a degree, but it still is like ground and pound. You know what I mean? So let's hope that this when Emmanuel quickly get back, RJ Barrett get back, and Obi and them get into a flow, McBride get back, and then we reevaluate this thing, man. But they need to do something because I hate to see this thing go downhill after this.
Yeah, exactly right. It's ultra predictable too
Mm-hmm.
when we're running the offense through Randall, right? How many times does he get picked? That's whichever player it was, just read what he was going to do and just came and stripped the ball and ran into an open court layup, dunk or something. It just seems like every time he just wants to go one-on-one and, not trust the teammates. So, look, the heat's increasing on everybody right now. 4 games under. Christmas Day coming in. We'll preview tonight. We'll do a live stream tonight, with the preview of the Christmas Day clash against Atlanta. That's a whole nother thing. But right now, we need dubs in the worst way, Divine. Otherwise this season's quickly getting out of control. That there might soon be no way back outside of this. And I'm all for a fire sale in terms of vets, like you said. Play the young guys. I think they help us win anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So get what you can get for Evan Fournier. Listen to offers for Alec Burks. This talk a team might be thinking about a first round pick. Maybe a late first round pick to help, get Alec Burks, help them out in the playoffs. Look at deals like that. I'm all for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Every contract pretty much we signed this year outside of Derrick Rose, like the Noel, the Alex Burks, Evan Fourniers, all these guys, man. They could put them in package to bring in some guys who fit the profile that Tom Thibodeau need. Evan Fournier don't fit the profile for Tom Thibodeau. These guys are not defense minded whatsoever. You know what I mean? And they don't fit. See, like I said, it's not shade at Kemba Walker, I don't have a problem keeping Kemba Walker coming off the bench from New York. But for the starting lineup, he could score. But at the same time, like I said, he's giving up a lot of points too. It's a give or take with that. It's, like I said, you could drop 20, but if you give up 20, then your plus minus ain't really nothing. And I really believe that's a problem. Our Achilles heel is the guys we the two guys we signed that we were really looking to move this thing forward. They're a liability on the defense end, big time.
Word.
They're a liability on the defense end. And and that's why I do believe if you could move Evan Fournier to the bench. You don't have to bench him he can still get started minutes. I have no problem with that. He can still get started minutes, but I don't think he need to start if you can get a guy in there who could block, play defense first. Almost like a Reggie Bullock type guy. You know what I mean? So maybe that could be a Daniel House. It could be somebody like that who can control the other player scorer. To the best they can, to keep us in these games. That 125 points, that's the reason why that happened last night. Nobody could stop nobody. You know what I mean? And I just think that Evan Fournier played a terrible game last night. And I think Tom Thibodeau got to address that thing. And like I said, I like Kemba Walker a lot, man. I think the brother's prolific when he's on. At the same time, he's a liability as well. You know what I mean? So we got to find a way to get the Deuce McBride in the game. Now we got Derrick Rose out for 2 weeks because of the ankle surgery, excuse me. It couldn't be a better time to let the Deuce McBride get some burn. Just throw him in there. You know what I mean? If you want to keep Kemba Walker in the start lineup, okay, that's what you do. But I think when McBride come back, you gotta let him play, man. We need defenders. And until we get defenders in that lineup, it's gonna be like it was last night.
Yeah, facts, right? We're clamoring for this rookie to come in because he shows heart, he shows hustle, fire, energy, desire, all these things these vets aren't showing right now. And it's quite sad in a way that the player I'm most looking forward to is the player you just said, Deuce McBride. That's not only because of what he's shown, but I know a part of him is our future, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking ahead to the future now. Kemba Walker is not the answer long term. He could put up 40 one night. That's all nice and that. I give him his flowers last night. In terms of long term winning, I'm looking at sustainable winning. I'm not looking at a player that might go off, once every 4 games. Tom Thibodeau, one of the reasons he probably benched Kemba is that he doesn't believe he can win with Kemba long term, right? He's seen a sample size in Charlotte. He's seen the Boston thing. He's looking at sample size, the first 20 games of this season. You know what I mean? And yes, I'd love it if Kemba could do the 40-point, most nights. That'd be nice. He deserves that starting spot in that regard. But in terms of defense and having another defensive liability next to him, that's just not a smart move.
Yeah, absolutely. And also looking ahead, CT, just off, look what Mitch had to go through, him and Noel and Jericho Sims last night. Cats was coming out lane all day. You know what I mean? It's Fournier man getting beat. Mitchell Robinson got to try to pick up this guy, or everybody. We don't have a lot of good defenders in that thing last night. Name me one solid defender in the New York Knicks lineup last night. One, Mitchell Robinson. That's it.
Yeah.
And I just think that we can't get caught up in a sentimental thing, looking ahead, being all sentimental about this thing, catching feelings about this. No, it's bigger than that. Can the players that we have in this roster, in that starting lineup, produce wins? I mean, it ain't about the catching feelings. Can these guys produce wins for the New York Knicks? And if they can't produce wins, then you know what? They no good to us. They can't help us none. You know what I mean? And we got to bring the players in here that's moving forward. That's going to help move this team forward. It's going to make us be grit. Going to make us be grind. Going to make us be hard. Make us going at it. And I really think that the first 2 steps for me, looking ahead, is R.J. Barrett and Deuce McBride. Get them to it. You got to get them guys in there, man. And if not, then it's going to be a long season.
Yeah, straight facts, right? You touched on Derrick Rose too, another dude that's 33 years old, ankle surgery now, and it's going to be out for minimum 4 to 6 weeks. So let's even fast track to when he comes back and he's healthy. We don't know how ankle injuries can linger. He's 33 years old, like I said. How long are we going to continue to invest in players that pass their prime? You know what I mean? For as good as they can be on a different night, it's time to start prioritizing the future, right? Prioritize the future. Derrick Rose, Kemba Walker, they're not winning us no chip. They're not getting us to the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't believe, start playing what we have, Deuce McBride, Quentin Grimes, see who's out there in the trade periods, and go from there, I think.
Yep, absolutely. Second that 100%, man. I think that's what we need to be looking at. We need to be looking at another direction moving forward. We try to stay optimistic. As Knicks fans, man, we try to stay optimistic about this thing, man. And we try to stay positive about it. We try to stay upbeat. But just like even last night, that's a game you should have won. Knicks should have won that game last night. You were at the home Madison Square Garden. Kimber lights it up for 44, and you still lose. The losing record at Madison Square Garden is starting to get kind of disappointing. That's unacceptable. You letting people come in your house and take your stuff. Like I always say, these teams coming to Madison Square Garden, breaking in our house, stealing our stuff. We know what that steal is? That W. They stealing that W. That's the stuff in your house that they stealing from us. They stealing wins. You know what I mean? And it's supposed to be opposite. When you playing at home, you should be comfortable. You should protect your home. You should feel good about it. But it seems like this year we not protecting our home, and it's disappointing. So I just think that tells me right there that either you don't have the personnel that you need, or the security system to protect your house, which is your personnel, then maybe you need to get another security system. You got to do something because these cats is coming in Madison Square Garden, beating us in the garden, man. And then I'm piggybacking off of Clyde. I know Clyde got to be disappointed. I mean, Clyde is a life for New York Knicks. From the 70s all the way up to now, and I know there's got to be frustrated him because to see that the way the Knicks are playing at home. And like Clyde said, you got to take pride in this stuff, man. Salute to Clyde Frazier. I'm glad you're well, man. Everything passed you on the COVID thing. But it's really disappointing, man, to see them the way they playing at home, and we not fighting or scrapping. CT is one thing to lose. We not scrapping. Normally you supposed to be the New York City Gritty Committee, and that's just not done this year. So it's really disappointing from that standpoint.
Yeah, if you're playing dudes that don't look like they want it, play the dudes that really do want it. Thanks. And it's that old adage where we always say in sports, people get paid the bag. And then what do you get? You get a different player that come out. Evan Fournier is a 29-year-old. He's set for life. He signed a 3-year guaranteed deal. Julius Randle signed as well as this year already been guaranteed. He signed an extension, 4 more years. He's comfortable. I'm looking at a player that looks comfortable. Evan Fournier looks comfortable. You got to play a dude who doesn't know when his next check's going to come from, right? There's a whole different type of attitude when you see Deuce McBride go out there, Quentin Grimes and that. They're hungry, right? Their future's ahead of them. These other dudes, I'm just not seeing that hunger right now. That's so disappointing, right? You want to put on that jersey for the New York Knicks, the most valuable franchise in the Mecca, the New York City. It's just an embarrassment right now when they're not playing as well as their abilities do have shortcomings. I'm just not seeing that same level of fire or effort. Like you said, we should have won last night no matter what. You should not be letting Washington come in here shorthanded and put up 125 on us. Just too inconsistent.
Yeah, absolutely. And, another thing that's so disappointing about last night is like you letting guys come in there who, you look like the Kyle Kuzmas of the world. And, these guys, come on, they good ball players. They skillful, but man, they don't put no fear in you. See, and I think that's what we missing right now, New York, man. Where's that grit? Where's the gritty guys? Like, you know what? Sometimes you might have to take a hard foul to make your presence felt. I'm not trying to say go injure nobody. I'm not saying that, but sometimes you got to play hard, to make these people like, okay, it ain't that easy. I do not see that, and that's why I brought back the Tibbs situation. Tibbs used to guys he playing the way he coached. He hard, he tough, he scrappy, and your team's supposed to represent what he is. Not this year, and I think that moving forward we got to go in there. So with the trade talk coming up and the trading deadline about the approach and all this trade news, like you said, man, it's time to move on. Some of these guys, man. They good players. I'm not saying they bad players. They just don't fit what we're trying to do. Evan Fournier is a good player, but he don't fit what we're trying to do. You know what I mean? Kemba Walker's a good, outstanding player. 10 years in the NBA, 4-time All-Star, all third, all-team NBA player, but that don't mean that he fits what we're trying to do. You know what I mean? That's all. There's no shade on these guys, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes this particular team just might not be for them. You know what I mean? Because we have a certain personality you need to have and a certain identity that you got to have playing for the New York Knicks. You know what I mean? And Kemba Walker's offense makes up for a defense to a degree, but I still think that guys like Fournier, I like Alex Burks, but I do not see that grit in these dudes. And I just think that's where it's at, man. So the trade talk going to be out there, and I'm for it, man. CT, I'm about seeing what's out there. Canvassing the landscape, see what's out there, and see what you could bring in here to blend in with what we have here already that could be valuable. Like I said, all the contracts that we signed, the Noels, the Burks, the Fourniers, I ain't got no problem moving the dudes, man, just due to the fact that they're not working. They're not working for us. And I like Alex Burks as a scorer. He can get on the bench and get it popping, but maybe he need to go back to the bench. You know what I mean? And I hopefully when RJ Barrett come back, he go back to the bench. Because and he can help be a part of that bench because now that Derrick Rose is not there. You know what I mean? So hopefully he got time to shuffle the lineup. But I'm all for what's out there. But we heard a lot of noise. The Miles Turner's talk is out there. You got guys out there that can really help this team. You know what I mean? So I think the Knicks front office need to be aggressive and just bring in some guys that's going to help shake this thing up and get us back on the right track.
Yeah, real talk facts. I think Eric Gordon's another one who defends well, can shoot, is a vet. He does have a few years left on the contract, so it'd be interesting to see whether they'll be interested. Like Mark said, it would take probably an Evan Fournier to match that salary. I'd trade Eric Gordon. I'd swap Eric Gordon for Fournier in a heartbeat.
Thanks.
He's been a part of a winning teams before. He's a dogged defender. Like you said, he can handle the rock. He can give you some minutes at the one. He gets up in you. So that's a name to look out for. The point guard solution, I wouldn't be surprised if they sign a vet, maybe a smaller salaried vet, just to give us a little bit of depth, with the Derrick Rose injury now. Who else? Yeah, Miles Turner, like you said, our centers have been inconsistent all year long, but also we don't have no center that can shoot the ball. Nobody can stretch the floor at the 5 spot, So to me, it's like, while we have these guys, should you be playing Obi a lot more at the 5 or Julius at the 5, Obi at the 4? Should those guys play more together? I know Obi's not shooting the ball very well this season, but he can, out of all our big men, he could still stroke it better than anybody. So that's going to be a real interesting divide. And hopefully the COVID outbreak doesn't affect what was sure to be a very, very active trade period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, real talk. And there's guys out there that I've been keeping an eye on, like the Robert Covingtons of the world, guys like that who could 3-and-D with the best of them, $12 million salary. Guys like that we need to go out there and check out. You know what I mean? Get some 3-and-D guys in here, get some wings in here who could defend. First and foremost, whatever the Knicks bring into this thing, make sure they can defend. Don't bring nobody in here they can't defend, because that's the problem. We don't have a problem with offense. To me, Kemba Walker could score, as Evan Fournier could score. The problem is on the other side of the ball. So we need to be aggressive with some guys who can knock jokers down, who can defend the ball. And I think guys like Miles Turner, Eric Gordon, Robert Covington, guys like that, they can do that. And it won't cost us a lot because, like I said, you could swip Robert Covington for Alex Burks straight up. Robert Covington made $12 million. He made $10 million. You know what I mean? Or you could move a Noel and somebody for Miles Turner. He made $18 million. Noel made $10 million. Throw somebody else with that can make that salary match. Maybe you might have to throw in a pick or two, and then you can go that route as well. There's a lot of things the Knicks could do, CT, without damaging the infrastructure until they're ready to make that real, until they're really, really, really ready to go big game hunting. But if you're not going to go big game hunting right now, just bolster your defense up. You know what I mean? And I think adding a guy like Robert Covington to this team, or Eric Gordon, like you said, them two dudes alone will make us better because they know how to defend the ball. You know what I mean? And I think so. Before the February 10th trading deadline, we got to do some wheeling and dealing. It's pretty tough right now with the COVID, with the Omicron variant situation. A lot of teams might be holding on to guys right now because they're so depleted. You know what I mean? Whereas they might want to move a guy now, but they probably can't because a lot of guys are sitting out. A lot of guys not playing and things of that nature. So I'm not going to stand it. It's not a lot of willing and dealing now, but hopefully, after the Christmas, after tomorrow, after Christmas, we look and see what we can do. You know what I mean? If we got to trade a player and bring him in here, and even be in the protocol, he's gonna be out of the protocol soon. If we pass the physical and get at it, he's good to go. CT, we got a will and deal, brother, because I don't think we're gonna be able to go nowhere with the team we got there. Probably constructed. Our defense is not going to be there.
Yeah, I think they know it too. Worldwide West, Leon, they're sitting in their office right now, scratching their heads or shouting at each other or arguing or doing, making presentations, whatever it may be. Especially with Tom Thibodeau, see, the thing is, like you said, they got us vets, but they just didn't get us the right vets. So when you choose a path, when you want to compete and you want to play veterans over young players, make sure they're the right veterans, right? Like you said, we need savvy veterans like Robert Covington or Eric Gordon. They would be a lot better fit than Evan Fournier's and Kemba Walker's of the world, right? Now, at the start of the season, we thought, yeah, this is going to work great because we need offensive-minded guys, based on last year. But what we did is we swapped all our defensive guys for just straight offensive guys, and now we straight suck defensively. So now we need to go back to the future, and get the Robert Covingtons, Eric Gordons to try to get back that identity from last season. And I think they have to. The pressure's on. Like you said, I'll sell Alec Burks. He's a player that teams would want. No question about it. It's the Evan Fourniers, the Nerlens Noels. I'm not sure. We may have to dangle a few picks, maybe a second round pick, or a Charlotte or a Dallas, unprotected pick or protected pick. Sorry, but by any means necessary, just do it. Change this identity of this team because it's not working.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, late first, I don't have a problem with it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I haven't heard too much about the draft this year. How many good players are going to be in there? But I don't think it's going to be 25 players that you can't pass up one of them, because we got young players now already. So how many guys are going to come in here and play in the system right now? Not too many. Let you got a gym. You just have no choice to play because he's that good. But I think we got to use them picks, man. Use them. Use them to the best of your advantage to get some guys in here that's going to make a difference. And because, like I said, it is truly, man. If you look at the Knicks in the '90s, you look at you think ever since the Knicks in the '90s and all these guys, even when we had Carmelo and them, with Mike Woods and them, look at the guys who we had here. We had the Kurt Thomases of the world. We had the Rasheed Wallaces of the world. We had gritty, tough-bodied guys in that era. On that team when Mike Woodson had them. But ever since then, until Tom Thibodeau came here and brought some gritty guys in here, we won last year. We don't got no gritty guys like we need this year. We're not winning. The 8 years before we went to the playoffs last year, we didn't have no grittiness. We didn't go nowhere. We got to trade for guys that represent the city and what the New York uniform stand for: toughness, hard nosed, tough minded. They out there. You know what I mean? We got the organization got to go out there and get them. And that's why I said I give Tibbs 30%, man. But at the same time, you gave this man some players that don't fit his profile. You know what I mean? And that's the results of it. And the ones that we do have that's gritty, they rookies. You know what I mean? That play hard like that. Rookies or young player like RJ and McBride and Grimes and Mitchell Robinson. Them the guys that play defense in New York. You know what I mean? Noel played, but he played in stretches. So I just think that, with this trade talk out here, and with all this NBA buzz going around, there's a lot of it. There's going to be a lot of it. We got to take advantage of this thing, CT, and try to right this ship before it get out of hand.
Yeah, you're right. The standings predicate, that we need to make moves straight away. I think, because it's just not working. And on that note, let's touch on some NBA news. Swirling the league. Obviously, a lot of teams are ravaged, right? Signing veterans like left, right, and center. Joe Johnson getting back in the league. Darren Collison got bought out of retirement by LA Lakers tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like we don't know who's going to be next. This thing's just crazy right now. We obviously got Christmas Day. The lineups aren't going to look the same right now. We spoke to Mark the other day. The NBA has no Divine has no intentions of postponing or cancelling the season at this point. They're just letting teams sign up to whoever many players they want. Right, it's going to be some real funky lineups for the rest of the year, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Atlanta Hawks, they signed Lance Stevenson. I mean, yeah, right. So it's that I gotta give Adam Silver a lot of credit for being able to him in the NBA NBPL. They decided, listen, we need to do something to keep this thing going. Because if we want from bringing these players like that, you would probably wind up shutting this thing down. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that the NBA got together with the Players Association and figured this thing out to a degree just to get players in here. You know, it was almost like back in the days when Major League Baseball went on strike and they had to bring out them guys from all the streets to play for the you know what I mean, or whatever, because you know they were decimated, you know, with the lockout and things, that stuff like that. You know what I mean? So in the NBA, we got some. Adam Silver's a good guy. He run the NBA real well. He's one of them commissioners that I'm proud of. I'm proud of Adam Silver, the way he brought this thing to the forefront. He made a lot of good moves to keep the NBA afloat. You know what I mean? And he got a hard job right now with the way with this COVID this COVID situation, or this Omicron situation is really tough for the NBA. But you know what? Like I said, you know, we brought in Daniel House, we brought in the G League guys, we brought in Damian Dotson, and a lot of teams are doing the same thing, man. They're just trying to get players. They like fishing in the barrel, I guess per se. You know what I mean? They're trying to get players wherever they can get them from. You know, so sometimes the game might not look as sharp as it would be when you got your regular guys. But a lot of guys they play. What I'm happy about CT, a lot of guys they bringing in, they all were NBA players for the most part. Like these guys played in the NBA, they know how to play basketball. They might be on their last leg in their career, but you know it's like having a savvy. It's like having a veteran on your team, like the Joe Johnson and Lance Stevenson, Daniel Collison, Brandon McKnight, all these guys. Yeah, right. These guys been there, so they played in the NBA just not too long ago, 3-4 years ago. So it's kind of good that you have guys who's trying to stay in shape, knowing that they might get an opportunity, and some of them might stick for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know Jamal Crawford's chomping at the bit to get back in the league. You know, 40-something years of age, and on a lighthearted note, you know, if we pulled back Michael Beasley and Jeremy Lin,
right?
You know, we could pull out the old Knicks jerseys and start rocking the throwbacks.
Right.
That'd be
yeah, that'd be raw right there, man. Can you imagine the walking bucket coming in here? That'd be crazy. Lynn Sandy all over again. hey, you know, it was Kimba Sandy last night. Lynn Sandy would not be so crazy, man. But yeah, man, we just got to try to get through this thing in the NBA, man. Try to just maintain until we can get back at it. But you know, we just got to stay positive about it, man. You know, the NBA overall, man, it's a global brand, and they're doing whatever they do. They're not going to jeopardize it. They just came out of lockdown, a bubble a couple of years ago. You know what I mean? They're not trying to go back that route. You know, the revenue was tough. They lost a lot of revenue a couple of years ago. They're not trying to go through that again. So I'm quite sure they sit down with all their lawyers and all they, you know, whatever, and trying to figure this thing out. You know, and let's hope so, because you see what it did to the Knicks as well. I mean, we lost 6 players in the span of 1 week almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we just had one go out last night with Nerds as well. So it's tough. But I think, you know, we just got to hope that the NBA maintain and we can keep the season going. I'm looking forward to Christmas Day tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that we can, you know, go out there and have a great Christmas Day games, man, a bunch of games that's on a doctrine, and have a great bunch of good games, man, and let the NBA fans enjoy Christmas, watching some good basketball.
Yeah, that's right. You know, the league's still obviously a big powerhouse, generating a lot of revenue, and you know, digital media, you know, people getting opportunities to earn a paycheck. So we're obviously thankful for that. The fans, first and foremost, thankful for that. It's just tough to see the product sort of change a bit. You know, it's different. But like you said, yeah, it gives opportunities to players that NBA still could be NBA quality players that may rejuvenate their careers. Basically, some of these players might start producing and then get a multi-year contract. You know, because we've seen how good they were. We saw Carmelo Anthony out the league so many years, and then only to come back and show how much game he still has left. So that could be more positive things to come out of this. Yeah, touching on the Christmas situation, we obviously have our Christmas giveaway that we announced the other day, and the Real Buzz, Divine and I, we want to, show our appreciation to you, the listeners, the viewers, everyone that supports us, shouts us out in the chat. It's been a fun season so far, and we want to give back and just say thanks to everyone who's supporting us. So we have 8 Visa gift cards to give away, and we chose, in fairness, we chose at random people who do interact with us on Twitter as well. We obviously appreciate everyone in the live streams, in the chats, everyone, in that regard. And we have so much support and love there from the first cousin. So, it's difficult to not leave anybody out. So we had to do this sort of randomly. But Divine, if you want to announce the 8 lucky winners for a Visa gift card.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to reiterate what CT said, we support all the people who support Knicks Real Talk, who support the Streets of Buzzing, the Real Buzz, all our guys that come on our show every night, man, up in the chat, just chiming in, checking us out over the live stream. But this one was pretty much for all the people who followed the procedure on Twitter, retweeting the Chris Buzz situation. So this is for all the people who pretty much did it on Twitter, and to fairness. So just let me introduce all the winners and all the people who won the gift cards right now. We have Nick's mom, Donna, Robert Parr, Toyib Ali, Knickerbocker, Cooler, Corey Jones, and CW Flash. Let me reiterate that again. Nick Mom, Donna at Twitter, Robert Parr, Toyib Ali, Knickerbocker, Cooler, Corey Jones, CW Flash. Congratulations to you guys. Thank you for supporting the Real Buzz, the Streets Above the Knicks Real Talk. When you hear this video, we reach out to you on Twitter, and we'll let you know how you can obtain your gift. Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year to you guys, man. And let's go Knicks. Keep supporting the Streets Above the Knicks Real Talk and the Real Buzz. We appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts, man. Let's hopefully the Knicks could turn this thing around and we get this thing popping, man, and we can get back at it. But until then, we'll see you guys on the next episode from CT and Divine, the Streets Above the Knicks Real Talk. It's the Real Buzz. And we here, man. Salute to everybody.
Salute.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We out. Peace.